All right, let's talk about something that causes a ton of anxiety for so many of us, especially in Korea, KakaoTalk. We all have good intentions, right? But sometimes our messages just land wrong. Today, we're going to fix that. We're going to close that gap between what you mean to say and how it actually comes across. I mean, how true is this? It happens all the time. You think you're being efficient or direct, but the other person reads your message and thinks you're distant, dismissive, or maybe even rude. It's this constant low-level digital friction, and we're going to solve it today with a really practical toolkit you can start using right away.
You know, every single message you send, or even the ones you don't send, carries all these hidden social signals. We're talking about timing, about tone, about respect, and this whole explainer, it's about putting you back in control of those signals, so your messages finally land exactly the way you want them to.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the core problem, intent versus impact. Then we'll build a whole new mental model for digital etiquette. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of timing and tone. We'll tackle those tricky group chats, and stick around, because at the end, I'm going to give you one simple fix that will slash your chat anxiety immediately.
So, first things first, you have to understand that being polite on KakaoTalk isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It's not just about the words you're typing. Nope. How your message is received is filtered through the lens of your relationship, the specific context, and a whole bunch of unspoken rules.
So many of us fall into this trap of thinking that being polite means replying instantly. But honestly, that's not it. The biggest mindset shift you need to make is this. Clarity always, always beats speed. Think about it. A quick 3-second message that says, "Hey, saw it, will reply tonight," feels 1,000 times better than being left on red for hours.
So if just being fast isn't the goal, then what is? Well, we need a better way to think about this, a new mental model that gets us past just looking at a stopwatch and helps us understand how our messages are actually being perceived.
The best way to think about it is like a three-part equation. First, closeness. How well do you know this person? A long delay with someone you just started dating sends a very different signal than a delay with your best friend, right? Second, content. What's the topic? Is it urgent logistics or just a casual check-in? And third, chain of command. Is there a power dynamic at play, like you and your boss? These three things, closeness, content, and command, they determine everything.
Okay, let's get super practical, starting with the #1 cause of all this stress, reply timing, and that dreaded read receipt. In Korean, there's actually a special word for this that captures the feeling perfectly.
The term is ilsip. It basically combines the word for read with a slang word that means to ignore someone. You can think of it like read and ghost. Now, here's the key. Doing this isn't automatically rude. What it means changes completely depending on the situation.
And this is where it all gets so tricky. Check this out. The exact same action, reading a message and not replying, sends totally different signals based on who you're talking to. For a close friend, it probably just means, "Hey, I'm busy, I'll get back to you." For a coworker, it can feel like you're avoiding commitment. And for a new date, whoa, that can feel like total rejection. So, instead of having one single rule for replies, it's better to think in terms of time frames. If someone texts you, "Hey, I'm downstairs," that's a 5-minute window, right? If it's a work decision that's holding up the team, you should probably aim for under an hour. But for a casual, "Have you been?" replying later that same day is totally fine. It's all about matching your response time to the context.
Now, let's take this same way of thinking and apply it to group chats. Because in a group chat, the goal shifts a little. It's not just about a one-on-one conversation anymore. It's about managing everyone's attention. Your main job is to not add to the clutter. So before you hit send in a group, just run this quick mental check. Ask yourself, does every single person in this chat really need to see this? Or could I just send this as a direct message to 1 or 2 people? Just asking that one question can save everyone else from a ton of notification spam. Okay, let's talk about tone. On KakaoTalk, these tiny little symbols, the punctuation you use, even the way you type out laughter, all of it can completely change the emotional temperature of a conversation. Honestly, getting this right is like a subtle superpower. So these are not interchangeable at all. Using KK is kind of like a light chuckle, but if you pair it with a really blunt statement, it can come off as sarcastic. Hehe is much softer, almost like a gentle smile. TTA looks like crying eyes, and it signals sadness or empathy. Oh, and be careful with periods. A really short sentence that ends at a full stop can feel surprisingly formal or even a little cold.
This example shows it perfectly. Imagine someone tells you some bad news. The response on the left, "Oh, I see," with that neutral smiley face, it just feels so disconnected. But the one on the right mirrors that serious tone and adds the empathetic crying symbol. It's the same situation, but a totally different emotional impact.
And here's another super common mistake to avoid. When you reply late, it's tempting to send this long, detailed apology because you feel guilty. And to you, that feels really sincere. But for the person receiving it, it can actually feel like a burden. Now they have to read your whole story and make you feel better. A concise, clear reply actually repairs trust way faster.
So here's a really crucial habit to build. Just take 30 seconds to run this check before you send any message that might be a little sensitive. Just ask yourself, what's my purpose? Who's my audience? Is my tone right? And do I need to say anything about the timing? This quick little audit can prevent like 90% of all misunderstandings.
Okay, let's bring all this home. I want to give you one single powerful action you can take the second this is over to immediately make your KakaoTalk life so much better.
The answer isn't some complicated new system you have to learn. It's just a simple, pre-written template that you can copy and paste. It perfectly manages expectations, and it protects both your time and the other person's peace of mind. It's a game changer.
No, seriously, I want you to do this right now. Pull out your phone and open your Notes app. Just type these 3 short lines. Saw it? Then, I'm in a meeting/driving right now, and finally, I'll reply tonight. That's it. Pasting this one little template whenever you're busy solves almost all of the communication anxiety we've been talking about. It takes 0 effort, and it is so incredibly effective.
And that really brings us to our final thought here. Every message you send from this point forward has 2 parts. There's the actual information, that's the content, and then there's the situation surrounding it, which is the context. So after all this, which one are you going to make sure you send first? Because leading with context, that's the real key to making sure your content always lands well.